Hey guys, welcome back to Jurassic Collectibles. I hope you're all doing really well. So today we're super excited to be taking a closer look at the brand new green Papo Velociraptor. You can find this guy on everythingdinosaur.com. They kindly sent over this sample for review. Link is in the description down below, so make sure you check out their website. Now before we get started, I want to do a brief history of Velociraptors from Papo. So we go all the way back to 2005, which is when they made this guy. This is the Brown Jurassic Park variant. This one's actually now out of production and goes for ridiculous prices online on eBay currently. Now, how the price of this guy is going to be affected by this new green variant, we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, if you want to get this brown one that looks like the Velociraptor seen in Jurassic Park, you're going to pay up to £100. So that's the first Velociraptor. Then they brought out the second Velociraptor, what I like to call version 2, and there are a few variants on this paint job. Namely, the patterning along the back changes very slightly among different versions of this version 2 of the Velociraptor, and this one looks closer to what we see in Jurassic Park 3. It's got the red eye, it's still got the articulated jaw like the original Raptor, but it's just generally a darker colour scheme, and this was the Raptor that you could pick up in most stores for many years. You couldn't get hold of the brown one, and people really wanted the brown one, but all they could get was this variant. Then flash forward to 2015 when we have this variant, which came as a Toys R Us exclusive and also in some Canadian stores. You can see this one's got a very bright colour scheme. It's got splashes of blue, maroon, and this came with the T-Rex box set. You can now buy them individually, but this was a special box set with the repaint of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which we've now got a running version of, and we've reviewed all of these on the channel. Do check out our Papo playlist, links are down below. Then this year we had a brand new style of Velociraptor, completely new sculpt, and that was this one, the feathered Velociraptor. And again, we have reviewed this one on the channel. Very colourful and very popular among fans. Its jaw opens absolutely ridiculously wide, and that looks brilliant. Looks like a really fantastic realistic dinosaur. So that's the one that we had in 2015, and now we have the new green variant, which is not a feathered Velociraptor. We're back to the original sculpt and back to an original looking colour scheme, but just in a green variant. So without further ado, let's crack this one out of the packaging. So here we have the green Velociraptor from Papo, new for 2016, out of the packaging, and straight away you could be forgiven for thinking that this is the same as the brown variant. It does look very, very similar indeed. Now we have to very quickly bring in the brown Velociraptor from 2005. You can see that we're getting the same sculpt. The main difference is being that the brown version has much more striping going on, and I have to say I actually prefer the more naturalistic looking striping of this new variant. In terms of the colour scheme, obviously the original was much more brown. This is much more green. Some would argue that this is more accurate to what we see in Jurassic Park. Now both the original and the new version have articulated jaws, so you can open up the jaws like so, and you'll see that the newer version has nicely weathered teeth. The original had quite sort of bold white looking teeth, but I much prefer the new weathered version, so that is an improvement made by Papo. Now when I close the jaw, I don't know if this is just down to age, but on my brown version I can't get the jaw to fully close up, but if I close the jaw on the new version, the lips actually meet, which is kind of funny because they've recently discovered that dinosaurs might have had lips. But you can see that the jaw is much nicer when it's closed on this newer version. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this raptor. So starting off with the head sculpt, you can see we've got a really nicely detailed head sculpt there. Beautifully scaled, and actually they've done some really nice black dry brushing to bring out all that sort of scaly detail. Really nice. And it's got really nice bright yellow eyes. There's something about this that doesn't quite look realistic. If I bring the brown raptor back in and put them side by side, there's something about this brown raptor that just feels more naturally weathered than this newer version. I think it's just because the newer version feels a little bit more uniform and a bit less messy, whereas this one feels more like a naturalistic wash. But anyway, back to the new version. You can see it's got a really nice sculpt, and if I open up the jaw, you can see We've got beautifully painted and sculpted interior of the mouth. There's the roof of the mouth with nicely sculpted and painted teeth, and as I said, they've been nicely weathered. A little bit more on this side than they have on that side, but still very nice. Really nice flesh in the corner of the mouth. And there's a bit more of a level of gloss on this one as well. You can just see it catching the light. It's not overly so, but just a little bit more shiny. Now there is a brown stripe running down the back. I don't know if you can see that. It's almost like a browny yellow. And then as we move down the neck, really nice fine scaling and sculpt work going on. A lovely gradient from grey into this new green. You can see nicely sculpted arms. Beautifully sculpted finger claws. Nice glossy finger claws. Maybe a little bit too glossy. If I bring in the original, let's see how glossy those are. So you can see they're a little bit more of a satin finish on the original, whereas now they're almost like a polished black. As we move across the rib cage, lovely detail going on here across the torso. Lovely clear musculature in the leg. I do like the striping going on here. And I think if you're a fan of Jurassic World, one of the raptors is more of a greenish colour. I think it's Charlie. Is it Charlie? Correct me if I'm wrong. But maybe this one closely matches that Velociraptor. As we move back along the tail, really lovely sculpted detail. You can see more of that glossy sheen. Again, very shiny claws. That might put some people off. Let's bring in the original again for comparison. I'm sorry to keep doing this, but I think it's important to establish which one is superior. I think the finish on the claws on the original, again, is just not as glossy. As we move back up the leg, you can see lovely detail across the torso. Lovely folds around the shoulder area. As I look at underneath, it does feel like this grey area is a little bit more translucent than the original. I don't know if it's because they've used a paler grey and I'm just used to seeing the grey on the other Velociraptor, but then we get back to that beautiful head sculpt. So here on the left is the brand new green Papo Velociraptor with all of his previous paint job buddies, and strategically Papo have been very clever here because they've created a raptor squad. You know, not a raptor squad that matches exactly the dinosaurs seen in Jurassic World, but they are similar in some respects. You've got this version that almost looks a little bit like blue with a stripe running down it. You've got this green version which represents, I'm assuming it's Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do kind of have like a raptor squad going on here. Although the brown version is out of production, but then I suppose you could always interchange him with the brand new feathered Velociraptor. Okay, size comparison time. Let's bring in one of the Rebor Raptor hatchlings recently unboxed and reviewed on the channel. You can see this green one looks quite nice next to this Papo figure. The colour isn't exactly matching, but I still think it's cool to have a little hatchling next to this Velociraptor. And let's bring in our good friend, it's Off-Color Alan. I've always thought these two have scaled up well next to each other, and it's nice to have another variant of the Velociraptor to add to your collection. Now if you don't have the brown variant, definitely pick this guy up because he's probably the closest one you're going to get to the original Jurassic Park Velociraptor, unless you want to shell out that near £100 for the brown version. Be interesting to see how the prices of the original brown Velociraptor are affected by this new green variant. It might make them a little bit cheaper, so now might be your time to grab a brown version. So there we have it guys, that was today's look at the brand new green variant Velociraptor from Papo. I think this is going to be a really popular raptor. Probably a lot of people are going to confuse this with the brown one initially because it looks so similar to it, and I think they might snap it up thinking that they've got a bargain. But this is actually a really nice figure. Obviously the sculpt is exactly the same as the 2005 brown version, and actually the paint job isn't too bad either. It does look very similar to the dinosaur that we see in the original Jurassic Park movie, and that's not bad at all. Okay guys, let me know what you think. Will you be picking this one up? Do you own him already? In the meantime, rate, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All these figures and more can be found on everythingdinosaur.com. Link is in the description. Get off there, Mosasaur. What are you doing on there?